Welcome, everyone, to What Anna Said podcast.
On our previous episode, we had our very first guest, which we were so excited about. We had Fa sit down with us, and this is part 2 of our conversation with her. We thank you guys so much for tuning in, for subscribing to our YouTube channel, for following all our social media handles, and catching up with us. Thank you guys so much for listening to this episode. Let's continue to hear from Fa.
So Sally is our positive. She's just our positivity every day.
I wasn't
you can do
a sports player.
No, she wasn't a sports player, but she was a dancer, which was fast. But she was but she was also the one that actually, if anything you can depend on, is Sally would bring you out to do an exercise.
Yes.
And that's what I love about Sally is she would always be the first one to come out and start an exercise. Mm-hmm. And then once she started to lose weight, Sally would disappear because she would practice. But the thing about it is, Sally always had that drive. Yeah. And like you guys say, she wasn't an athlete, but you would never be able to tell.
Yes. Right.
And the thing about what I loved about Sally is when Sally exercises, it has to be perfection.
It's
like, and I'm like, like it has to be the form to the fullest. Like this platform to this muscle. Wait, I know Sally's very technical, and that must be the way. Okay, so that's her. It must be an OCD or something behind that, because it wasn't until we started working out. We were doing jump ropes. I think it was jump roping, and mind you, we all hadn't jump roped in a while, but it was jump roping, and it was trying to get that. Okay, we go for a minute, 45 seconds, 30 seconds. And I just remember Sally would just jump rope like it's no other. And we're all just, I know I was sitting at her like, this girl be jump roping like it's anything. And she's just like, jump roping. But I was struggling because I would be lucky if I got 5 in a row, you know? But I think what I loved is like, Sally wouldn't stop until she was perfected at something.
Yes.
Even when it came to squats, when it came to burpees, she literally was all about form.
Yes.
And I understood later a little bit, but sometimes I'd be like, dude, Sally, just get the workout. Sally would be so, Sally, okay, one thing I can depend on is Sally recorded everything. Sally recorded, and they were the same ones that taught me how to do the movie. I'm like, how do you guys get it to fast forward and behind? Sally literally is a pro of all videos, that can make videos. And those were probably the most greatest things that I cherish is when Sally would send them to us. I was like, oh my gosh. I would laugh and I would giggle, but it was such a great video to enjoy. And that's what I loved is that Sally, sometimes she'd get so in her head that to get out of her head, I literally have to be like, Sally, it's not that big of a deal. Just get it done. Because if not, we would be on our 10th one, and Sally is still thinking about the 3rd. But I think that's, you know, and when it comes down to it, that's how you see the different personalities of when you work out together. Become an instructor, but at the same time, you kind of know what you're, as an instructor, you know what everyone's battle is. And that's what I loved is you get to know them personally. And at the same time, you know how to help them, you know? And that's what I loved is Sally. I could depend on Sally to show up every day, bright-eyed, always had her makeup on, her lashes, I mean, always had bright-eyed, just... I just want ready to go. Ready to go.
For no reason.
Yes. And I just remember.
I think it's because I was never in sports, so I'm like, put me in coach. Like, that's the kind of
take me out, coach.
Literally. These two are like, I'll stop. But there was this one time, I don't know if you read, and I think I sent Anna the video. There was this one time we were at the thing, and Sally was so into her head.
Yes.
And I was just like, dude, Sally, okay. I always had a dummy. I don't want to call him a dummy, but someone to show. Experiment. So Sally was so in her head, and she was wanting to work on her abs. I'm like, Sally, come down here. I literally had Sally lay down, and the thing about what I discovered is sometimes with her hand, I don't know why I always think that you should put weights in your hand. Maybe because I love weights, but it was literally, if I could have my hands focused somewhere else, I wouldn't focus so much on where it was burning, which was core. So I remember putting Sally, because Sally was just so caught up in like trying to perfect what she
Yes.
wanted,
Mhm.
that Sally, I made her lay down, and I had Sally holding the thing, and it was literally kind of like bicycles,
Yes.
but with the weights
Yeah.
going backwards.
Right, right.
And Sally was just like, I'm like, okay. And Sally's just looking at me, and I'm like, you don't know which hurts because you don't know whether it's the weight behind your head or your stomach because you're trying to hold it from the bicycle. But I think for myself, that's the only way to help you was to teach you, hey, it's just going through it. Whether it helped or not, I don't know. But it's just going through just learning how you can get past it. When Sally would just have one focus in one mind, when you gave her two, it was complicating a little bit. But at the same time, you took your mind off it because you didn't know which one hurt. So that's what I had discovered with Sally. It's multiple things at one time. So that she doesn't have to think just about that one thing.
I think that's really cool. That's a cool thing as an instructor because you really know your people. You really know what works. You know who needs to modify. You know who needs to do better and pick up the heavier weight. You know
that's right. Because talking about
that's fine. I was done.
Talking about me rolling my eyes because whenever I'm instructing my class. Sometimes there's people rolling their eyes, but but don't worry, because I'm rolling my eyes right back at you, and you're gonna do some burpees too, okay? Because just like you said, like who, as an instructor, like who can be pushed more, and who maybe you can do this and give yourself some grace. But yeah, that's definitely Follows very great at that with each and every one of us.
Every one of us, and everyone else in the class
everyone else,
too.
exactly.
Yes.
And I find that she does the same thing because I remember I was stepping in her class and I wasn't on the board. And she played the roll back at me. I just like, Bob, get on the board. And I'm like, can you just focus on other people versus me? So when I got on the board, I did as my instructor said, but I was like this. And yes, I had the payback eye rolling. And then she wanted to come and put her hand and count to 7 on the board.
Your legs up.
Yes, but yes, I remember that. So thank you for teaching me.
Now the student has become an instructor in her own way. And I know that a lot of that would have never started if that seed was never planted, especially for Kim, because she never cared about fitness.
I did not.
Even as an athlete, it wasn't something that was important to her until all of this. She started to go see the results of it, see how important it was. Having people like you, especially in her life, to speak, encouragement to her and to make sure that we know how important this is to us. And now you doing the same thing for your family and in your community. And that's the thing, because I think of everyone's journey, especially here where we live, and you have had a hand in everyone's journey that I know. Somehow, some way, advice, showing up, encouragement. You totally have had a hand in a lot of people's journeys and changing so many people's lives. And even for you taking that brave step, like you said, because you were an athlete growing up, so it was hard for you to take the step with surgery at the beginning, because you wanted to do it on your own. I think that that's such a strong thing to do for you in your in your own thinking, to be that strong, to make that decision and take control of your life. And then even amazing that your parents, because your parents, we didn't know much about fitness growing up in an island, but so that imagine them, in their time. But for them in their old age to encourage you to go on walks, to go together, let's go to the gym, let's go exercise, let's go walk, and to do it. And I know that a lot of it is because of their love for you. It wasn't more for them, but it was more for you as their daughter, wanting to encourage you. And I know that's one of your biggest reasons, the biggest push that gave you to continue to do it. I remember whenever when we were first meeting together in Jovi, and I was talking to you about my journey and my struggles, and you were sharing your journey with me, and you told me, oh, I just came back a while ago, because you said you took some time off to take care of your parents, while they were ill. And you said that, I remember one thing you said to me that always stuck with me was that you said when you came back, you were able to jump right back into it because taking care of your mom was so physical. It took a physical toll on you because you had to, wrap your arms around her to pick her up and move her around and help her physically to get to get going in her day to day, that was something that you still looked at that as exercise. That still had something to do with you getting stronger, and you took advantage of that. And I thought, wow, what a way to look at that. You know, that you didn't think, oh, I had to take care of my parents, and so I had to take a step back from my fitness. But you looked at it as you killing two birds with one stone. That you were blessed to be there for your mom, and also blessed to still be on your health journey doing that. That was really amazing. That just talks about how strong you are as a person.
You know, and I am just fortunate, just like you guys. I have such supportive parents. You know, my mother was my inspiration, truly. At 74, she passed, but at 73, that woman, it didn't matter. When we would go, so one of the things we had, I remember always will be my favorite memory of my mother is, Visa and Joe and them at that time had us pushing these ugly, you remember, 75-pound bags?
So yes.
Yes, so it was such a, there was a big hype, and we were going, and my mom was maybe 72, 70 at that time. And here she is taking these back, but we were dumping big wheels. Like, I love hardcore.
Yes.
I love outdoorsy. I just love anything that's CrossFit.
Right.
But my mom was at that time pulling a 75, and I thought, okay, you're too old. So I went over there and I said, Mom, let me do it for you. And she goes, I don't get hit no taco. She said she was going to hit me. She goes, I don't need your help. And I just looked at her and said, well. But she drove me. She drove me. And so when my mother literally had cancer and turned within the 6 months, it wasn't even a full 6 months. When my mom turned, she was my biggest inspiration. When I look at it, if I never exercised and she never drove me to exercise, I wouldn't have been able to take care of her the way I did. You know, I took care of her till the very end, and you know, me and my sister, sibling. But when it came to lifting and when it came to other things like that, I was fortunate. I have nieces that help too, but just to be able to care for her was my journey of, this is why I did it. It's amazing how God puts things in front of you that you don't realize till later.
Right.
And it's not till that time or even after that time that you realize, thank you, God. Thank you for showing me things that I never foreseen that came in about. So with that, just her, and at the same time, fitness has taught me many things. And especially now that both of my parents are gone. My mother was my biggest push. When I cared for her, fitness was it. If it wasn't the physical physique that I had, I wouldn't be able to lift her or to do a lot of stuff. And then after that, fitness was then also my my outlet when I went through depression. I wasn't suicidal, but it was the depression from the physical loss of caring for her for 6 months, and she lived with me for almost 5 years. So it's the absence of the body from my house, and it was the habit that killed me. The actual habit of getting up. I knew what she needed in the morning before I went off to work. It was my everyday for the 6 months. So when I bounced back, when I had just came back, I literally, what I love about fitness is you can never tell if you're sweating or crying. And when I learned an outlet of how to emotionally come out of depression or anxiety, or, you know, we never knew what these things were when we were young. But now that we deal with them, my outlet is working out. So it's like when I cry the hardest, I will push weights more. I will lift harder. I will lift stronger. And so I just remember in a moment after my mother passed and going back to come out to working, that was my safe haven. That was where I could come, and I knew that I wouldn't be, like, no one would look at me any different. What you seen was my happy-go self, but the inside was crumbled and torn to pieces. But what I loved is that behind each of us, there's a story. but it's through our physical journey that our stories start to come and play. Because then we realize, okay, the reason why I did this was this habit or this emotion. The reason why I did this was this experience. And that's what I found, that fitness literally is my outlet for everything. And that's what I've been able to share with my daughter. So when my daughter was going through the same issues of losing my dad, losing my nephew, then losing my mom, she had her own struggle, and I would just tell her, leave it on the court. So that's what I love, is that the best part of all of this is that me and her share a passion. Like, we enjoy going to work out together. I mean, she'll probably tell me no, but we love that we go to the gym together. I love that when she is in her season, like when she's in her season, she's to the key core. She knows what she needs to do. Food wise, everything. She's so strict on herself. And that's what I think as a mother is probably my proudest journey, is that I know she now knows how to take care of her own health. And if that's anything that came out of the whole thing, was that, you know. And I think if I look at now where I'm at, so just this last month, one of the greatest things is that, literally one of the greatest things is that I just overcame a year. I had endometrial cancer. I have had endometrial cancer. And when I took care of my mom, back 5 years ago, it'll be 6 years this year, but when I took care of 5 years ago, my mom didn't do chemo. She wanted to do holistic. So that's when I think I even learned so much more about food, what to eat, like what cancer loves, what cancer doesn't love. Like literally, she was so holistic, we literally had to learn everything about food. You know, and who would have thought 5 years later, when I was diagnosed with cancer, that it changed my whole world. And what I meant by that is, I just remember going through an emotional roller coaster. Because cancer is just a word in itself. It's just it's just a negative. You know, so I never really use the word, but it's just another thing. But truly, when you're going through cancer, it changes your whole outlook, because when you look at it now, there's not a cure, if you would think about it. However, the cure is your health. You know, so when I was struggling and I was diagnosed with cancer, I was so, even to this moment, I was blessed. Because when my doctor was like, you know, when I had endometrial cancer, it literally, within less than 6 months, it went from a peanut size to a grapefruit. And at that point in time, I was just like, okay, you know, you have your emotional roller coasters with God, and then after that, it comes with everything else. And what I learned from that point in time is, when I went to him, I was so grateful that the journey had kept going, because then he said, you're so fit that you actually might be okay. But there's always that, you know, couple. And I was like, okay. So literally after I had my surgery and I woke up, the first thing I asked is, am I going to the next step or what? And he just said, no. He said, you literally are cancer free. He said, when I found out I had cancer, I had less than a month to prep. When I did that, I went cold turkey. And I never knew what I had, going holistic for my mom would do for me 5 years later. And that's why I said, God always puts you in a path that you never recognize until the journey or after the journey. Yes, and so that's what I was so grateful for, is that everything in my life since I've been on this journey, and look, it's how many years now, right? I consistently go. And I went through this moment, yes, I ended up, and my husband's like, I went and I got a tattoo. Because I wear it on my left shoulder, it's literally a hibiscus and a musical note, which is a musical heart note. My father loved music, and he was just a musician. And my mother loved gardening, and she was just a woman of flowers, you know? And so, yes, I tattooed it on my back, and my husband was like, what? And I was like, but for me, it was just, it's always a reminder that if it wasn't for them, every time I look and when my body goes into a certain physique, I look back and I tell my parents, thank you. Like, you made my life so easy. And I wouldn't have known had I had all these challenges that it's because you loved me and pushed me and said, block out all the noise, do you? That it makes me such a stronger woman that I am today, you know? And that's at the end of it all, like I always say, it's the journey. It's the discovering yourself. That's why and just to go back, that's why I called my workout Fit for You. And I know Visa always called me Fierce Fa or whatever, but I called it Fit for You because, yes, 4 is my name, you know, but for me, it had to mean something. And when I say fit for you, yes, it's fit for me. I mean, yes, it's for, you know, whatever with my name on it, but it's not about me. It's about what fits for you in your journey. It's not so much my exercise won't work for all of you. Won't work for everybody. Just like Kim's step might not work for it. It will work. It will help you. But you need to figure out what the next thing works for you. And that's like keto. Keto won't help me. You know, intermittent fasting doesn't help me. But like I figured out what works for me. And that's why I always said fit for you is what works for you specifically, because we all have a journey, and that's what I said is like food, our bodies are different, our intake is different, you know. I mean, just me getting on the thing, I always knew I was heavy bone, but now I can say I am heavy bone because it says my skeletal mass is 89 pounds. So no wonder I was never under the 200 kind of pound girl.
Exactly.
But so.
Yeah, I really loved what you shared, Fa, and your testimony of everything that you've been through and how it all tied in together and how God moved in your life. And but wow, just grateful for your parents and them being able to push you from what really started your journey and getting the surgery and all the way through to taking care of your mom and going the holistic route to when you were diagnosed and seeing the effects of it from 5, almost 6 years ago. Just such a powerful testimony and just so blessed to hear it.
Exactly. I think that's the amazing thing about God is because he's always many steps ahead of us and what we even see, what we think is to come. I mean, just like, you know, the story of David in the Bible. David was just a shepherd boy tending to sheep, the youngest and the one that, you know,
was not even the tallest or the strongest.
Not the strongest. And, you know, in that whole time, God was preparing him to be the great king that he was. And so just in this situation, when you were going through those trials with your mom and being the caretaker that you were, and God developing you and you having to learn all these holistic, you know, living things so that you could support your mom on her journey with her diagnosis, then for it to come around and you still use that journey, that knowledge and wisdom that you first learned for your mother and now using it for yourself. Man, only God can do that. Only he can work things around like that. And for you to already start working on your health before the diagnosis was to come all these years later, and to be in a place where you could beat it like that, you know, and that's just amazing. I mean, you know, the way that God orchestrates everything to work together. And even through your own health journey, my health journey and many others being able to have a health journey from your story, just how it continues to touch people's lives from one thing, you know, one seed was planted and then all of these things that has happened ever since then. That is just amazing and a testament to your mental fortitude. I mean, that takes a strong person, and I know that you're strong because you were broken, and you know, and you had
that
to
part.
and you had to build over that brokenness, and man, that quote that you said earlier about how, you know, why you love working out because you can tell when someone's crying or sweating. That's not the first time I've heard you say that. I know that that's real for you. I know you don't just say that. That's something that you live and you truly. It was something that's so genuinely real for you as you went on your journey. I know that working out, fitness itself, I know it's such an outlet for you. I can tell with everything that you do that, you live so intentionally.
Yeah.
You know, and so that's the reason why I look up to you so much, and I'm so thankful that you decided to do this episode.
Yes.
That's why we wanted you to come on and share that with others, because that's just amazing, you know, and how you want to give back to everybody, so that everyone can know this thing that you've discovered. Like you said, you had days where you was just, I mean, just being down, you know, depressed, just feeling overwhelmed by the sadness in your life and the loss in your life, because that's a huge loss. I cannot even imagine, especially with your mom living with you, and then someone being gone, and a whole part of your life just erased. The daily habits of your life, your schedule, and everything that is, I mean, the void, how quickly you went from being full to just empty. I can't imagine how that was for you mentally. So the way you threw yourself into something that was healthy, I'm so blessed, and I'm so thankful that you did that. That you threw yourself. You could have thrown yourself anywhere. You could have anywhere. But I'm so grateful that you threw yourself into fitness, into something that was so good for you. Because you did that, I get to be healthy, and I get to know about health, and I get to enjoy it, because you showed me how to see it through your eyes, how to have fun, that life is fun, and life is meant to be, you know, enjoyed. Exactly.
To be enjoyed.
Yeah, and you totally taught us that.
Yeah, and like even the doctor, you know, saying that you are a healthy person, that you, because of you working out. So when you got the surgery, there wasn't a step 2, you know, that you were cancer free. It shows that that you were proactive, that it was a lifestyle. The health and fitness became a lifestyle, and that's why it's so important for us, especially as Polynesians, because it's not something that is talked about or really worked on, is to be proactive right now, because you never know, just like all those years, and God having his hand in that, and you being cancer free. What a testimony.
Yes, exactly. What do you have anything that you, I mean, you already shared so much, but to any of our listeners that maybe they're just starting, they don't know where to start. It's so overwhelming these days. Everyone has a workout program. Everyone has tips, you know, and
whether it's right or wrong.
Diet trends that Kim keeps doing. Everyone has, you know, the next best thing. What do you have to say for anyone who's wanting to try out? Maybe they're intimidated. All the people that are listening, what advice do you have for them?
You know, the first advice I would say is, don't take up so much what social media tells you. That's the biggest one. You know, I remember I used to post a lot, and I did post a lot, and I would get these DMs that saying, thank you. I'm sitting here watching from my couch, but I know I need to move it sometime. You know, and then now you have like 10 million people post. You know, I post here and there, but if I was going to tell anyone anything, it'd be to just start. You know, and I don't know. I mean, you guys remember this. I remember when we kept on going, as I said, don't time yourself to my time. And I remember Anna always got the downfall of what I was. You know, and I was like, don't be me, be you. You know, don't try to beat my time or be as strong as I. We're on different levels.
Exactly.
All of us are on different levels. All of us are trying something. My word of advice is, look, start somewhere.
Yes.
And if that means, like, you know, everyone does watches now. You don't even have to do a watch. My biggest thing is start just getting up off the couch. So if you were going to do anything, don't sit so much on the couch. And if you do, start timing yourself. And it's those small things. How long do you sit on the couch? If not, then walk around your kitchen for at least 1 lap, and then, or 2 laps. And I don't know if you guys remember this. I would always tell you, if you can beat yourself 1 second the next day, then you've won.
Exactly.
If you would just do that, and that's what I think is, everyone thinks there has to be this time that you have to be. There isn't. It's a long struggle. It's an ongoing struggle. I'm still doing it. It's been how many years for me? But it's a consistency, and really, at the end of it all, your health is consistent. It's consistent to how long you live your life, where you're gonna be, how better of a person you are to love yourself, and then to love your children and your husband. You know, so if you're gonna start anywhere, it's just starting with telling yourself you can do it. And that's really it. A lot of people, yeah, you want to jump in, you just want to start tomorrow and go do a 5 mile. I'm just saying, start off with doing 10 minutes.
Yes.
And if you can go that 10 minutes, okay, so we're going back up to Sally. So we all know that we have, I know this was the last portion, but we all know that we have a friend.
Yes.
Okay.
Who's done
let's
this.
go
So,
there.
Yes, let's just go there. So let me tell you, I went on, I did a Tough Mudder many years ago.
Yes, that's right.
It was a 13-mile, 20 obstacle course. And you know, I literally was probably at my, I wasn't at my fittest, but pretty good to fit to where I could handle stuff.
Yeah.
Running, Me and religion, it was always like, me and running, never had a religion. It was just, I just always says it wasn't in my religion. Running is not a part of my religion, but we did this. So when every time someone would ask me to run, I'm like, running is not part of my religion. But we did this Tough Mudder. And that's kind of what I remember is, a lot of people, when they go through these different journeys, and that's why I'll come back to Sally. When they go through these different journeys, they time themselves.
Yes.
And now, I got it. So we were like, okay, we should do this. We'll be done by 4 hours.
Right.
Well, along the journey we were going, our perspectives changed. Because then there were so many, like Sino people, skinny people, different people. But it wasn't so much like Spark. If you didn't do it, you had to do burpees, I think, or something before you can move the next one. This one, you can just walk on the side and go to the next one. So every obstacle had something you had to overcome. And I think one of the biggest things that caught me, it was called the human ladder. And what it was is that it was literally like, you know how they have those Plunko?
Oh, yes,
you know, like you watch but it had where you put the chip down and it goes bing, 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 Well, that's kind of how this thing is, but you had, each of us had to be a human step for the next person to go bottom up, to catch that rope to go over.
Right.
So as we kept on going, there was so many people that they just went cold turkey. But at the same time, we were just like, enjoy it. So we went from what is supposed to be a 4 hour to like 9 hours.
Wow.
Because we understood and Visa told us, enjoy the journey. So those who were there to get it done, they were timing. Those were the true athletes that going to triathlons and all that. So what I was saying, to go back to why we're going to do this, is that like, I was telling my dear niece Sally, because she was going to go to Hawaii with our true friend Kala to go do this long thing. And I said, why are you going to do that? I mean, when literally there's one up the road. We have one that is called a 5K. And we've done one, which literally, and I told Sally, Sally, what are you training for? I mean, like, if you're going to do like this triathlon thing or whatever, yes, do it. But enjoy the journey. Like, let's start with the 3 miles. Let's start with the 5K and go to 3. And I said, and literally it's fun because it's also called like, there's a cocoa run, there's a bubble run, there's me and a couple of girlfriends, like Sheree and all them, we did this one where it was like it was like neon. Like they threw
Yes.
So, to sum up, what I was trying to say is, simplicity. Keep it super simple and sweet. And that's truly what just exercising is. The same thing. It's like, if you can do 1 minute or a step longer, then you did the next round, then you win. And I think that's really at the end of it all, it's just getting up to start. You know, and don't try to compare yourself to everyone. If you, the biggest thing about ourselves is when we sit there and compare ourselves, we'll never reach that person. Because but think about it, our physiques are different. Like, I remember when I first started, I was chasing Visa. And then when I understood, it wasn't I was chasing Visa, I was chasing her lifestyle. And that's when you discover yourself, is that you are built different, your format is different, your bones are different, but majority of it is just to enjoy the journey. Because look, if I wouldn't have enjoyed the journey, I would have been but like, you know, like Kim and all that. I remember when we first started stepping,
Yeah.
you know, when Jane brought it out.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it was like, this is great. It's
Yeah.
something new,
Right.
you know? And look at what we have. And that's what I
Yes.
love, is that if we look at how many, I know everyone jumps on a challenge, but I always say the biggest challenges. I get on challenges just because I think it's fun.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I know I
Exactly.
don't need to.
Yeah.
And
Right.
the only reason why I say that is I have challenged myself and I have beaten myself
Yes.
every one.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
once I get to that, then it's like, okay, I've done that. What's next for me?
Exactly. Right.
Then I kind of go back and I gain a little bit of weight, but I'm like, I still keep within the thing.
Right.
But I think that's what I love is since I've started, it's been a journey.
Yeah.
So when you see me after COVID, I was at my fittest.
Yes.
Because I literally physiqued myself to
Yeah.
saying I want to be this certain size and I want to be a certain definition.
Right.
And then once I got to it, I was like, okay, I got that.
Yeah.
What's
Right.
the next one?
Right.
So
Yes.
that's why I always say,
Enjoy
you
the
know,
journey.
enjoy the journey. Enjoy it. It's a lifelong
Yes.
struggle.
Yes. Yeah.
And it will never stop.
Exactly.
You know, and that's why I love, and that's what I miss the most is
Yes.
Kim, when Kim would post on food. No, for real. I mean, for real. And that's what I loved is I learned stuff. When Kim was doing keto, yes, I know Kim did some stuff, but when she would always video herself, and you never know who's watching, right?
Yeah.
You never know who's watching. And that was the same thing. I'm like, protein shakes get boring after a while. Then when you guys put them in coffee, something different. You know, and that's what I love about social media. It's great when it comes to those different platforms, but it also is a buzz killer when you're trying to compare. You know, and I watched just to sum it up, I watched this one TikTok where this lady who was a fitness instructor, the guy came and kind of pointed her out. She was a fitness, like she was saying about in what her profile was, you know, just about happy, supportive, whatever. And she was videoing, and so the guy who was coming to pick up the weight, she just happened to be in front of the rack. I don't know if everyone's probably seen this TikTok. And then she started to say like, dude, the guy was in my way. And then it's like, anyhow, long story short, she was making an issue about the kind gentleman who was being nice, but she wanted to record herself.
I think I see that one.
Yes, and then at the same time, she was the same one that was making fun of people running.
Right.
And that's what I've learned is like, when I see people at the gym and they're struggling, I always go say hello.
Right.
And I was like, hey, good job.
Yes.
You know, and they're probably thinking like, who is this? You know, but it's because I know that I've been there.
Yeah.
We've all been there.
Yes.
And it is an ongoing struggle. But you know, I think that's probably what I think is probably the biggest thing is just being supportive.
Yes.
And just starting.
Right. Exactly.
Go back and start posting your food videos.
She
Like I really do miss your burritos and what you made.
Everyone always says my food videos.
See?
I always say except
Well,
that.
and Anna used to make some good ones too, and she would do her big.
Yeah,
her
but
big
she
cake.
would,
Yeah.
yes. She
Yes.
doesn't do that anymore.
Anyway, but thank you so much for that because that's so true. Like you said, just start.
Exactly.
Just start. Even if you have to get off the couch and make a lap around the kitchen, you know, in your kitchen,
Exactly.
just start. I think that's the best advice to ever give because there's a lot of, excuses. I don't have workout shoes. I don't have, I only have a Bumblebee shirt. Like, there's a lot of excuses. There's a lot of excuses that you can give yourself, but like you said, the most important thing is just start. And the journey is where it's at. A lot of times, like you were asking Sally, what do you want to, you're doing your marathon, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Where are you going? Start with the 5K, that's how,
5K.
I don't run
Just a
anywhere.
simple 3 miles. And I told her, you don't even have to run it.
Exactly.
Right.
Think about it. You can do you can take your children with
Yeah.
you.
Right.
And
I wanna
that's
do
the
that.
funnest thing, see?
Yes. Kim's always excited as an idea.
Yes,
But then when we get there.
Hey, the 5K, I'll actually do that.
Kim and her.
Like the bubble one.
Yes.
And all that.
those
I
are
really
fun.
want to do that with
Yeah,
my
I do
family.
too.
Yes, because your kids will end up running.
Yes,
And next thing
right.
you know, you might be the one that's
Trying to
struggling.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah.
As long, hey,
As
but
long as
it's
they're
about
having
the
fun, yes.
journey, and when we get to
Yes.
the end,
Right.
it's about letting them play in the
Exactly.
bubble because
Right.
it's an accomplishment.
Yes.
We did together as a
Yes,
family,
right?
right?
Cannot wait to do that. So I'll look for a bubble run.
Yes.
Yeah, look for something.
Because I want to do
look
it
for something
too.
local.
Yes, and I told her
Something
if you
local
post
first.
it, literally. And I told her if you post it, we'll all do it together.
Yes,
See?
that'll be
And
fun.
it's literally just fun.
Yes.
Bring the
Everybody,
kids.
you heard that right? I think we're gonna take this podcast on the run.
Yes.
Y'all look out.
Yes.
Y'all look out for
This
those
year.
episodes.
Yes.
I'm ready.
Yeah.
Because
it's
yes,
coming.
when we do it, we're going to depend on Sally.
Yes,
Because you're
right,
going to see what
right.
we're going to be doing on this
Right,
side.
right. You guys gonna see everything. But for those that are listening in, if you're feeling inspired,
Yes.
man, just get off the couch. You know,
Right.
there are times where you're writing someone that you're watching on Instagram, you're like, man, I feel so inspired.
Right.
Okay, that's great. It really is great. But let your inspiration lead into action.
Yeah.
Get up off that couch, just start and enjoy the journey.
Mhm.
Because life is to be enjoyed, okay?
Exactly.
Sometimes it's not that deep, it's not that serious.
Right.
Don't focus on that one thing like me.
Right.
Just start and enjoy.
Yes, exactly. And thank you so much. Fa, you're like a wealth of
Yes,
a well of
yes.
knowledge. Just all of the wisdom that you give every time we talk about anything, not just fitness, but just life in general. And just you take every single thing that you've been through and you turn it into a lesson and you turn it into inspiration for other people. And not only the thing I love is because not only do you say it, but you live it. You
Yes.
live everything that you teach us.
Yeah.
Don't ask the walls.
Right?
Don't ask my home.
Right.
That's another
we'll have
episode.
your husband on here next week.
I will have changed my name now.
But definitely thank you so much. Thank you so much for even making time to come here and do this because everybody's busy these days. So thank you so much for stopping by. And everyone that's listening, thank you so much for tuning in. I hope that you guys have got a lot of tools. I know from what we've talked about today, a lot of tools to get your own fitness journey started, to enjoy the journey, enjoy the ride, and to please reach out. Fa has her workout Instagram. She has a lot of things that she
separate
posts.
it a little bit.
Right. She has a lot of her workouts that she posts. Sometimes I run out of workouts to do, and I will just look at her page, go through all of her posts, and put my workout together based on what she's already doing at the gym because she's there before I wake up.
She has a membership at every gym. So.
Right. So y'all hit her up. Y'all hit her up.
I'm
Ask her
serious.
questions. Yes, ask her questions.
I can be your gym buddy too, a
And
friend.
Gym buddy.
Find a friend.
Yes. She is the good. She answers everybody's questions for free. So take advantage of it right now before she starts charging.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of information that she knows and is giving out freely. So thank you so much again, Fa.
Yes, for
and thank you
having me.
to everybody that's tuning in.
Yes.
We'll catch you guys on another episode of
What Anna Said Podcast.
Bye.